interestingly, the direction of society, how far it went with the administration of money, and of course, to round up the herd of the population, so to speak, the naming policy, this legal naming policy of putting surnames and placing them on there, called legal assignments. That's really what they are. They're legal assigned names. Um, the one of the documents that I was researching was dealing with the history of it with the native peoples, and it was under the Indian Act naming policies. But you'll get a gist of how far evil will go, because again, there was no tradition with the native peoples of having these surnames, and but again, because of the seek and conquer, the conquerors now are going to be paying for their cost of conquering when people wake up to the truth of it. So it doesn't matter where your background's been or where you have been induced or damaged from. It doesn't matter if you're white or black or Chinese or any background. Our belief in Jesus Christ is for everybody. He bought everybody. He purchased everybody. So he didn't leave anybody out. So there is no division with Christianity. Only the legal Christianity that you've seen out there that's perpetrated some crimes through the Catholic Church and any of its subsidiaries. But anyways, dealing with the naming practices, the natives never had surnames, so this became a real problem. In fact, there's a document called Project Surname, if that's not obvious. But this is a quote that was about the naming that was going on amongst the indigenous peoples, and it says, "It is ironic that the first peoples of Canada have surnames that only date back a few generations. It's certainly not the case for ancestral names which date back to creation. Traditional names, naming ceremonies, and many other cultural traditions were discouraged and in some cases outlawed. Indian agents and missionaries, working under the mandated assumption that all First Nations would, through one policy or another, eventually abandon their traditions and culture and blend into the prevailing Euro society, thereby eradicating the Indian problem." Now, there's an interesting statement um, that happens here, and it's not very pleasant to listen to, but it says the Deputy Minister of Indian Affairs, Duncan Campbell Scott, wrote in reference to the assimilation policies. Now remember, I already said that an individual is subsumed into the collective, or what happens with these last names. So the intent is to have you host the event, to subsume you into it. They even use that word in Black's Law under individual, and showing you the difference what an individual is. You end up, you're individual to begin with, and then you're sucked in or induced into the collective name to make private claim to it. So Duncan Scott wrote in reference to the assimilation policies, "The happiest future for the Indian race is absorption into the general population." Now I use the word general, which is common population. "And this is the object and policy of our government. Our object is to continue until there is not a single Indian in Canada that has not been absorbed into the body politic." That's the body corpus, or the legal person. "And there is no Indian question and no Indian department." So you think they were going that far on this group that was basically worshiping the creations of the Creator and became susceptible to more so to these diabolical deeds of these satanic people. But listen further. I'm just going to rephrase this and show you what's coming, what I believe I can give you an understanding what's going to happen with believers in Christ if they don't get out or come out of her. "The happiest future for the Christian disciple is absorption into the general population, and this is the object and policy of our government of Canada. Our object is to continue until there is not a single Christian in Canada that has not been absorbed or subsumed into the body politic, body corporate, the only legal person known to our law, and there is no Christian question and no charter protection." That's really what's coming, because you will have no say in the future if you remain mixing your purity of your Christian spiritual belief and property, your God-given name, in that legal body corporate of the state that has nothing to do with God or spirituality. So be careful if you remain as someone who thinks he can jump out of the plane before it hits 10 feet from the ground. You'll be sadly mistaken that not even a parachute will work at that point.